Is your masala making you very sick? In a series of stories about Indian made masalas, MDH and Everest, this morning's Indian Express said that the United States Customs authorities have rejected a third of all the shipments that have come from MDH Private Limited to the United States in the last 6 months. So, a total of about 11 shipments have gone from India, of which one third have been cancelled in the spices, flavors, and salts category, largely for having salmonella contamination. Between October 2022 and September 2023, the refusal rate was 15%, but in the last 6 months, it's gone up to 30%. Now, apparently, most of the grounds, all the grounds of rejection was salmonella contamination, and this is a bacteria that can give you a very severe stomach infection, and it can affect the intestinal tract if it's not cooked properly. Now, a food safety expert that's been quoted by the Indian Express says salmonella happens due to unhygienic practices during the value chain. So, when the process of that product being made, from harvesting to processing to packing, you should not be getting salmonella. So, remember, this is not the first problem that we've talked about when it comes to the brands MDH and Everest Masala. Hong Kong and Singapore flagged problems in products that from these two brands that have been shipped to these two countries for a group 1 carcinogenic, which means basically an element that is known to cause cancer. Both countries have cancelled 4 products from their respective markets and told the importer not to bring those products. What are the products from MDH? It is curry powder, sambar masala, MDH, and the Madras curry powder. In Hong Kong has withdrawn all of those spices. In Singapore, Everest fish curry masala has been withdrawn. The company's products are hugely popular in India. They're exported all over the world. Largely, Indians living overseas tend to use these products. The standalone revenue for MDH and Everest was over 2,000 crore rupees in the last financial year. Now, what is the chemical that has been found by Singapore and Hong Kong? Ethyl oxide, which is a colorless flammable gas that is used as a pesticide. It's also used to make antifreeze. And it gets used in food products to protect it from bacteria during transport and storage. But of course, there needs to be a limit to how much of it is still found in traces of the product. And if that limit is not maintained, it can cause lung damage, it can cause headaches, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, shortness of breath. Now, Everest, in response to the Hong Kong Singapore story, has said that its spices are safe for consumption and that only 1 in 60 products was held for contamination. MDH has not responded at all. The Indian regulator since then, which is the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, has begun testing random samples of both of these products. And the spices export regulator has sought data from both of these companies, from the relevant authorities of both the countries that have actually banned these products, to find out what the root cause is. The US FDA has said the regulatory body is gathering information about MDH and Everest as well, and they're looking for those details. But we must point out that this is not the first time. In June last year, the US FDA withdrew a few batches of Everest sambar masala and garam masala, along with Nestle's Maggi Masala Magic, from 11 of its states because of salmonella bacteria that was causing diarrhea and nausea among people who were using it. So the problem really is about the lack of regulation and the lack of implementation of that regulation in India, because obviously these companies feel that they can just manufacture whatever they want if they're going overseas, and then there's a problem with the product. Who's testing it in India and how often is it being tested? That's the real question. Remember, we've had an issue recently so far about Nestle and added sugar in baby products. We've had an issue with health drinks and added sugar and them calling themselves health drinks. And we've had an issue with various other products as well. So really the Indian Food Safety Authority needs to step up and do more to keep our citizens safe. Because at the end of the day, remember, a lot of parents, a lot of citizens aren't able to read the labels, because most of them are not educated enough to read what's on the labels. And even those who are educated, those labels are meant to confuse, because they have complicated chemical names, and there's sugar, and there are other chemicals that are hidden in those names that you can't really understand. So There must be harder regulation on products that are put on shelves in India to keep Indian children and Indian families safe.